Hi, writers. This is the first session from our very first writing unit of the year called Restarting a Writing Life. To get ready for this session, you want to make sure that you have your writer's notebook readily available. Maybe you're using your physical writing notebook. Great. Or maybe you're ready to start using that digital notebook you've started to set up. Whatever you choose, make sure that it's ready to go. And if you don't have either of those options, just have something to write on, like some paper, maybe some Post-its, and something to write with, pens, pencils. Once you're ready and your writing space is set up for you, then continue watching this lesson. So let's get started by thinking deeply. What's on your mind right now? Before you clicked on this lesson, maybe right before you went to ELA class, whether that be physically in person, or maybe it was online and you just clicked this video on YouTube. What were you thinking about? And what are you thinking about now? Maybe you want to jot it down. Maybe you just want to let it sit in your head and just kind of consider a few options. So for instance, for me right now, on my mind, I'm thinking a lot about my family. With COVID and school starting, I'm not going to be able to see them for a long time. I actually don't even know when I'm going to see them again. So that's something that's been on my mind a lot lately, and it's like kind of in the back of my mind no matter what. Like, when will I see them again? They don't live in New York City, so I don't know when I'll see them. And I'm worried about them. I'm worried about my grandparents. So I guess you could say that family is on my mind. I guess you could say that I'm feeling a bit of stress, a bit of concern, a bit of sadness, a bit of homesickness. I'm also thinking about how I'm getting a dog. I'm getting a dog in just a couple of months. So that's been something I've been thinking about a lot, especially tonight when I was walking home to my apartment and I saw the cutest puppy in the world, and it made me feel so happy just knowing that soon I'll get to have that too. Maybe you're thinking about school. Maybe you're wondering, how is this going to work out? Are we going to be okay? We are. We're going to be okay. But maybe you're worried. I'm worried. I'm worried about you. I want you to be okay. So you could say I'm thinking about my students all the time. So right now, hopefully you've thought about a few things. Start to write something down on paper in your notebook. Start to type something. Maybe you were thinking about things like I was thinking about, for instance, family. Maybe you're thinking about school. Maybe you're thinking about your health, COVID, staying healthy through all this. Maybe all this is bringing up some stress. Maybe it's reminding you of some drama in your life, from your friends, from school, whatever it might be. The reason that I asked you this question, this big question, what's on your mind, and I really wanted you to consider it, think about all the things that could be on your mind. Well, one, I'm really curious, of course, as your teacher, to know what's going on in your head and how I might be able to help you and support you. But I'm also thinking a lot about right now, and maybe you are too, our writer's notebooks and how those are going to go and how we're going to use them. This year is different from any other year, as you know. And we're not going to all be together in person. You're going to be traveling between home and school. Some of you will be fully at home. And that doesn't mean that the writer's notebook goes away. In fact, the writer's notebook is more important than ever. So let's just think for a moment, how will our writer's notebooks look this year? What will it be like to have a writer's notebook and maintain it? Well, maybe it needs to be digital so that you can have it no matter where you go. It can be on any device, anywhere, anytime. You see, you can share it with me even when I don't get to see you that day. Or maybe this year your writer's notebook needs to be more than just a place where you get ready to write for your writing pieces in ELA. Maybe it's something that's more of like a place to put down your thoughts, your feelings, things that have been on your mind. Maybe it needs to be a little bit of both. A place for you to write stories, essays, trying out new genres, like how you normally would. But maybe it's also a place where you get to kind of work things out, where you get to put things on paper and get support, either in just a therapeutic way by putting it out into the world or putting it onto the page. Maybe it's something that you need to share with other people. Whatever it is, it's important for us to really consider what it's going to do for us and what's going to go in it, because your writer's notebook is for you. So you might be thinking about not just what's on your mind and what you might do today in your writer's notebook, but what matters to you today and every day, and how your writer's notebook can help you and support you with that. So today I want to teach you that writers commit to making their notebooks a place of power, a place where they can capture really important stuff, thoughts, ideas, concerns, worries, hopes, dreams. A place for writers to collect stuff, collect ideas, collect different entries, and also a place for writers to explore all of those ideas, worries, thoughts, hopes, and dreams. The writer's notebook is going to be so important, and we're going to spend some time getting to know our writer's notebooks in a new way right now. So before I jump to that, I just want to show you something that I've been collecting now for years. That's my writer's notebook collection. Yep, that's right. I've been collecting writer's notebooks for a long time. There are a lot of notebooks in here. In fact, it's super heavy. And I have all kinds of notebooks. Let me show you a few. You might see the regular old notebooks I have for different genres. For instance, I have my narrative notebooks, writing narratives. I have my notebooks from different grades. I have notebooks from different genres like essay writing. Those are all going to look different. And I also have notebooks that are big and small that I've taken with me to travel to other places around the world, around the city. So for instance, I have a notebook that I take when I travel. This is my most recent one. In fact, you'll just kind of see things about trips I wanted to take or trips I've taken, notes, ideas, hopes, reflections, things that I do, even itineraries. Also, you might find notebooks that I use to plan my own personal writing that I do outside of school. Ideas, lists, images, pictures. And then I also have like an everyday notebook. Sometimes it has stuff for work, sometimes it has stuff for my personal life, sometimes it just has things to make me feel happy, reminders, things that I want to just remember forever. Notebooks are a huge part of my life, and they always have been. So right now, I just want you to think about what role have writer's notebooks played in your life so far? Have they been a big part of it? Maybe some years more so than others. Maybe you haven't really had a writer's notebook in a serious way before, except for just school, and it's something that maybe you shove into your desk and you're like, oh gosh, this thing is gross. I wish I didn't have to use it. That's over now. Now it's time for you to decide, how will it go for you this year? What will it be? What will you do in your writer's notebook that you've never done before? So just take a second to think, maybe even jot this down in your writer's notebook. What are you planning to use it for? How will you use it in a way that's different than any other year? Because this year is different than any other year in a variety of ways. So you're thinking, and let me maybe spark some ideas for you by showing you what's inside my notebook. So just take a couple seconds to look on with me. What do you see? What am I doing here? What do you notice? How do I conduct myself inside of my notebook? What are you noticing? What do you see? Does it all look the same? Are some pages different than others? Maybe right now you're getting some ideas for your own writing. Maybe you're noticing things that you could do in a writer's notebook that you've never done before. Right now, jot something down on paper. What are you noticing? What are some things that you see in my notebook that maybe stand out to you, that maybe inspire you for your future notebook or your current notebook? So maybe you notice that in my notebook, I do a lot of different stuff. Well, first of all, there are a lot of entries. This is a full notebook. These are just 2 notebooks from the last year or so of my writing life. Just narrative, completely full. And there's a whole bin of more of them. I have a lot of entries. I don't shy away from trying different stuff before I choose something that I want to stick with for a whole piece. I also write stuff down and come back to it months, maybe even years later. It's the beauty of having a notebook collection. You also probably saw that I have a lot of Post-its. I am, yes, the Post-it queen. There are Post-its everywhere, giving me reminders, flagging me to places to come back to, prompting me to think and to notice and to set goals for myself as a writer. There are so many Post-its here to help me remember and hold myself accountable to do stuff like write bit by bit, to add in our thinking. And I also love to do this because then I can come back to it and have examples from myself. I can teach myself. I also spend some time practicing stuff. You might have noticed some revision work, some editing work. It's not just practice. I want to get really good at my revision and editing even before I go on to drafting paper or revision paper. You might have noticed different kinds of writing. Sometimes I sketch, sometimes I make lists, I draw webs, I use T-charts. Sometimes I write long, sometimes I write short. Sometimes I write on single pages because I couldn't find my notebook that day, but I had an idea, like this one here. Sometimes I'll fold it in half because I realize, oh, I don't like that part, but I like this part now. It looks different. And I think you're probably thinking that it's kind of messy, but it's that good kind of messy that shows that I take it really seriously, that I take my writing life seriously. So right now, what I want you to do is I want you to make a plan for yourself for your writing time today. You might think about what you saw in my notebook and how it looked and ways it could go. You also might think about your hopes and dreams for your notebook this year, thinking about how it could be different, and it should be different because this year is unlike any other. So right now, I want you to make a little plan, a hope, maybe like a list of hopes and dreams for yourself for your notebook. And I want you to hold that close to your heart as you continue to work. I'll start writing my plan for this year for myself for my notebook. And you can start writing yours too. And then when you're ready, you can move on to the next lesson, or you can try writing some stuff out in your notebook right now. Let's all get started together. Let me reflect on some of these things we talked about. I'm thinking about how something I haven't done before really, or haven't done much of, is just kind of capturing stuff in the moment. I've always been the kind of writer to like think deeply and then go off and write a lot, but I don't really like collect notes as frequently. And I don't really just like capture random ideas. Like I've always wanted to be that kind of writer that carries their notebook around in their back pocket. So maybe I can become one of those kind of writers this year, or even just let my notebook kind of turn into that. So you see how I'm writing a list by reflecting on the work that we went through today. You can continue working on your list, and then I'd like you to try some of this stuff out. Just go for it. Maybe you want to write about the stuff that was on your mind. That's what I'm going to do next. I'm going to pick something that was on my mind at the start of class for my first page of my 2020 notebook. But I'm going to stick to this. So maybe I'm going to start to write maybe I'm just going to start to write some observations about my life using some of the stuff that was on my mind earlier. So you see how I'm writing kind of in a multimodal way? I'm using different images, forms of writing. I drew a magnifying glass. I also started writing as a jot, but then I started to write long. It could go any way for you. So keep going. After you made your plan, go to your first entry and just let it loose. Let it go. I'm so excited to see what you do. Stay tuned for more information about our writers' notebooks and the other videos on YouTube. Good luck, writers. I can't wait to see your stuff.